Hey guys, so welcome to another video, and today I want to talk a little bit about my sword and board experiment. This is a character that I built from scratch. I didn't look up any guides or anything, though I'm pretty sure it's nothing original and something similar has been done like bazillion times before. I just wanted to see if I can come up with my own build and see if that build would be strong enough to do maps up to, sort of tier 10. And I know that's not the most amazing goal I could have set for myself, but I was really trying to not aim too high. Now, I wanted to make a melee character that would use a sword and a shield, or, an axe or a mace, doesn't really matter. I didn't want to go into dual wielding or even use a two-handed weapon. I just wanted to use a shield on a melee character. So the most sensible thing to do, in my opinion, was to go duelist and ascend into gladiator. And originally, I only did that because of the extra block and the bonuses you get from blocking, but then I picked up gratuitous violence and added bleed into the build, and that helped immensely both in terms of damage and clear speed. And the other two nodes that I've picked thus far, I haven't done Uber Lab yet, are Painforge, which gives me 8% additional block when I take damage, which basically block caps me. I think I'm like 1% of block cap, and it also gives me extra damage when I don't take any hit, so that's really good. And then I picked up Versatile Combatant, which takes my normal block and adds it as spell block on top of that, so I can block spells as well. And the final node I want to pick up when I finish Uber Lab is Violent Retaliation, which gives you fizz damage and movement speed when you block, and it gives you an additional 80% increased fizz damage when you block a unique enemy, so like a boss. Now, please bear in mind that at the time of recording, this build is only level 72, so it doesn't have things like the Scion Life Wheel, which I definitely need to pick up because even with Belly of the Beast, I only have 4k health, which is very low. And that's even with me picking up Blood Magic and the nodes behind Blood Magic, which give you a lot of life, so I definitely need to pick up more. But so far, I picked up basically all the block nodes that are available on the tree. I picked up Blood Magic, I picked up Crimson Dance, which allows me to stack bleeding 8 times, though only at 50% efficiency, and I've also picked up Resolute Technique, so I cannot crit, but I also can't miss, so I don't have to worry about accuracy at all. And of course, since a big portion of my damage comes from bleed, I've also picked up some chance to bleed and bleed damage. And since I decided to use the Skava as my weapon of choice, I picked up some sword nodes too. Now, I'm currently running about 3.5 exalts worth of gear, and one half of it is pretty good, and the other half is really bad. The weapon of choice, as I've said already, is the Skava. I forgot to quality it up before I valed it. I had 3 of them, and I qualityed the other 2, but the one that rolled extra weapon range was, of course, the one that I didn't quality up, so I have +1 weapon range on this, and I'm running 3 red sockets on it for an arseload of leech. Now, the links in here, I'm running all 3 of the retaliation mods. So here I'm running Vengeance into Malefice into Maim. I'm still playing around with the final socket. Then for the helmet, I have Devotos, which is really good because it gives you movement speed and attack speed, which I really like. And here I have my Cast and Damage Taken set up. I'm running Cast and Damage Taken into Flame Golem because I always forget to summon it, into Immortal Call and Tempest Chill, which gives me extra block. Then I went a little bit ham and I bought a Surrender for 2 exalts, which is a really good shield that gives you a lot of armor, a lot of life, extra armor when you block. It also recovers some life when you block, and it grants you a level 30 Reckoning skill, which I am supporting once again with Maim, Brutality, and melee fizz damage. The necklace I decided to use after a bit of googling was the Anvil. This is really cheap. I got this one for 1 alk, and it gives you some life and mana when you block. It reflects some damage when you block. It gives you extra block chance, and it also gives you maximum block chance, so you can push it higher than 75%. Then we have my rings, which are both absolutely awful. They just have some resistances on there. I think they're item level like 55 or something. I can't read it. The preview window is too small. For the chest piece, as I've mentioned already, I am using Belly of the Beast. This gives you a nice bit of maximum life, though the roll on this isn't that great because it can roll up to 40, and I'm using Blade Flurry in here, which I've linked to melee physical damage, chance to bleed, brutality, and faster attacks. If I get a 6th, I'm probably gonna link it to increase AoE, because the radius without any AoE scaling is just very small. Here's the second ring. It just has some life and some attributes. I can't actually use my gear without it, so yeah, it once again pretty bad. Then there are the gloves, which just have a lot of life. That's why I'm using them. They are pretty bad, and I just have my portal and shield charge, which faster attacks in there. The build, I'm using the Magnate, which I kind of use on all of my physical characters until I get a better belt. It's pretty decent. It gives you extra fizz damage, a nice chunk of strength, which translates into melee damage and life. It also increases the flash charges gain, which is good, and it gives you resistances if you have enough strength. And the boots are actually pretty good. They have 30% movement speed, some life, some resistances. Overall, just a solid pair of boots. And the gems in here are Repose, which is like the final retaliation skill that you can use, which is linked to Brutality, Melee Phase, and Maim once again. I also got myself a Witchfire Brew. I didn't buy this, it just dropped from me, so I decided to use it because it gives me vulnerability aura when I use it, and it also increases my damage over time, which is pretty good if you're using bleeds. Now, you already saw the character doing Race Course, which is a tier 6 map. I don't have it shaped yet, and it was pretty damn good. It felt pretty solid, though the boss damage was pretty low, as you would expect with a character that's as defensive as this. It wasn't awful, though. It was actually better than what I expected. Now, since the character finished Race Course fairly easily, it gave me a little bit of confidence in the build, and I decided to do a tier 8 Shore with twinned bosses. And honestly, I never felt like I was in danger. I could just face tank the twin bosses, and it felt like I, in fact, was the danger. The damage here actually felt pretty good because there was a lot of mobs around the bosses, and the bosses themselves summon additional mobs which I can bleed, and they will then explode because of the gladiator ascendancy, and they will do a lot of damage to the bosses. And this is where the cockiness kicked in, because this was like 2 hours after I killed Kitava. One of the twinned bosses dropped a rare underground river map, which is a tier 10 map, and that is 5 levels above my character's level. My character is level 72 in this footage, and the underground river mobs are level 77. The boss you fight in underground river is also fairly scary, especially if you have vulnerability, because there is a lot of burst damage flying around, but once again, it was just a breeze. It did take a while to take the boss down because I was kind of pushing the limits of the amount of damage this setup can do without like steel rings and stuff, but it was definitely doable. It felt pretty chill. And then I was like, well, what should I do next? Normal Atiri, I guess? I have the shard, so let's try that. So here's me killing Vessel of Val. No deaths there, though I did get a little bit low towards the end. I did die once on the trio because of the bleed, but that's mostly because I didn't manage to roll a proper bleed removal flask. I have bleed removal on an instant life flask, which is like the worst thing you can get. And I did indeed manage to kill Atsiri like 2.5 hours after killing Kitava, though I did die a fair bit because I was kind of trying to see what I can get away with. So I tried face tanking as much stuff as I could. And the final clip I have here is a breach inside a shaped pit that has Fizz Reflect on it. And I couldn't even tell it was Fizz Reflect because number one, this character isn't doing like overwhelming amounts of damage yet. And number two, a lot of the damage this character does comes from bleeding, which they can't reflect. So overall, I'm very happy with how the character turned out, and I'm really excited to see how far I can push it once I get a little bit of health, pick up the Scion Life Wheel, and probably add some steel rings to scale the fizz damage a little bit higher. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty solid Uberlap character as well once I get enough health to not get one-shot by Zaro. Though I'm pretty sure that there are better ways to either scale damage or add more health, so if you have any suggestions, just leave it in the comment section and I will happily read it and probably tweak the character to make it a little bit better. And that's pretty much it for the video, so I thank you very much for watching as always, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.